Hello, dear learners. I have come to you once again. Last week I discussed about Tennyson, the representative poet, and you have got the answer from me. And today I'll exactly deal with you the fiction that is a novel that was written by E.M Forster. And I'd like to mention the name of the novel, A Passage to India. It is a very important novel which exactly painted the colonial picture of India under the British Raj. And it is very, very important novel. By this novel, the writer E.M Forster had earned the reputation not only in the European region but also in the Asian region. Asian region because he spoke about in this novel through different characters about the persecution, sufferings of the colonized people of India. Before going to the context of this novel or subject matter of this novel, I would like to tell about something who is E.M Forster. The writer is a very important figure and he became very stalwart intellectual during his time, particularly in the later part of his time, because he enjoyed a long life. He was born in 1897 and he was born in 1879 and died in 1970. He enjoyed a pretty long life, and this long life exactly made him in a very convenient position to watch the post-colonial period and the colonial period. And in the later part of his life, he became a very, very stalwart intellectual, a spokesman of the colonial period and post-colonial period. He was a man who was fortunate enough to watch the colony and decolonization process all over the world, especially Asia, Africa, and Latin America. Forster was born in the city of London. He was born in a very affluent family. Financially, he did not have any problem at all. In addition, his maternal grandmother deposited a pretty amount of money in the bank, which was a strong support, financial support to him. And that is why he did not have any attention, particularly to maintain himself and his family financially. And he decided his career as a writer. After completing his graduation from the King's College under Cambridge University, he decided to be a writer. And this sort of decision of taking career as a writer is a risky matter because there was no certainty of exactly getting income to support financially to somebody else. But he did not have this sort of compulsion at all. Moreover, E.M Forster decided to become a confirmed bachelor, and that is why he was not under compulsion to lead any family life or any compulsion for his family. And taking the graduation from Cambridge University, he decided to go to the trouble. And there was a reason of going to trouble. He wanted to collect the information and exactly the experience of writing his fictions, novels, etc., from his traveling experience. And in this connection, he pointed out first Germany, and he went to Germany first, but he did not stay there for a long time. He returned from Germany to Middle East because he had a strong fascination for Middle East as well as India. He went to Cairo, and here he was found involved in editing a journal. The journal used to deal with the colonial matters, the essays, fictions, and other stories related to colonial matters. That is why he found interested, because he selected his area to write, that was the colonial literature. And that is why he started feeling a certain interest to edit this journal. And he completed editing this journal by 6 months. After 6 months, he visited India, and it was 1914. And the situation of India during the time was very crucial. The political situation was very much unrest because World War I was declared during the time. And this declaration of world war was totally opposed by by the Indian common people as well as the Indian political leaders. Indian National Congress opposed it very seriously because the world war was not the concern of the people of India. The people of India did not feel any necessity to exactly involve themselves in this war. It was not their interest. Britain and France designing a conspiracy to declare war against Germany because Germany during the time was proceeding towards a certain kind of development, particularly in the science, in the field of science, technology, and military capacity. And that is why, in order to keep Britain and France their position as a superpower, they declared war against Germany to subjugate Germany to subjugate Germany, to defeat Germany in order to keep their position as a superpower in this world, in order to control the colonial colonized areas all over the world. If Germany would be in the position of the superpower, it would be a direct challenge to Britain and France. At that time, Britain and France would not be able to continue their control on their colonized area because of the intervention of Germany. The war continued 4 years and Germany was defeated. And Germany was compelled to put her signature on a very humiliating, ignoble document, that is Versailles Treaty. But that was a treaty which is quite ignoble, quite dishonorable. Independent country could not accept this sort of document agreement, but Germany had no any option but to accept this sort of agreement. And later on, Adolf Hitler, the former Chancellor of Germany, made the comment that the Versailles Treaty contained the germ of another world war, and that was the Second World War, which caused the huge casualty of human being and property. And during Second World War, the human civilization was on the extinction of destruction. After the visit of E.M Forster in India, it was his aim and objective exactly to watch everything, the conditions of the Indian people under the British Raj. And he had an ample opportunity for his being associated with so many personalities, stalwart intellectuals, people of different professions, different backgrounds, different capacities. They started giving him information about the Indian people, condition of the Indian politics, etc., etc., which helped him to frame the subject matter of his fiction, A Passage to India. We have to remember that E.M Forster had written several fictions, but A Passage to India had earned a reputation for him because of his painting very clearly the picture of the colonized people under British Raj. Very important thing is that it might be a question, why did E.M Forster exactly feel an urge to record the colonial picture of the people of India? He was a man of humanity. He was a man, and that is why he did not support the British colonial administration in any part of the world. And that is why he was a voice against the colonial rule. He exactly stood beside the people, colonized people, not only in India but all over the world. In India, he was fortunate enough to get three friends. I'd like to mention here who gave him so many informations about Indian history, culture, heritage, even climates, ethnicity, languages. First of all, I'd like to mention the name of Dr. Sir Syed Ras Masood. Ras Masood also met E.M Forster in England when he was studying in Oxford University in English language and literature. After returning from England to India, again Dr. Sir Syed Ras Masood met E.M Forster while Forster was staying in India during the time. And I'd like to give a short narrative about E.M Forster because he came from a very, very notable family and made outstanding contribution in the field of education in India. He He was the grandson of Sir Syed Ahmad, who was the iconic figure of 19th century Muslim Renaissance. Sir Syed Ahmed founded Aligarh University, very noted university, which was responsible for dispensing education in Muslim underprivileged Muslim community in India, and which became this university exactly became the notable university all over India. Dr. Sir Syed Ras Masood was also a barrister. So the first time he exactly engaged himself in legal practice in partner bar, but he did not continue because he did not feel any sort of knack in legal practice. By the counseling of his learned father, he came to the field of education. He joined as a lecturer in the University of Aligarh. Later on, he became the vice chancellor. When he took the chair of the vice chancellor, Aligarh University was starting with a new spirit, and during his vice chancellorship, Aligarh University has reached a particularly very special status in dispensing education all over India. E.M Forster provided so many information about Indian culture, history, heritage, and especially the condition of the Muslim community under British Raj to E.M Forster. And second man was Abu Said Mirza. Abu Said Mirza came from a very notable family. He was the nephew of the Nawab of Rampur and a stalwart intellectual. Abu Said Mirza provided E.M Forster with so many information about Indian history, culture, heritage, ethnicity, even climate. And these were the very important informations for him to frame the subject matter of his novel, A Passage to India. And third one, I'd like to mention his name, and he was Tikuji III. He was the Maharaja of Chhatarpur, Diva state. Tikuji III was a scholar about Indian matters from ancient India and the evolutionary system of Indian culture, history, and heritage. Later on, E.M Forster took the job under Tikuji III as his private secretary, which helped him exactly to get information, not only oral information, but also information based on documents about India to frame the subject matter of his novel, A Passage to India. These are the persons whom he was associated. Apart from this, he started mixing with so many common people who used to tell him about many things, how the British administration was going in India, how the people are exactly leading their life, where the people are satisfied under the British colonial rule, etc., which is very important, exactly to formulate the subject matter of his novel, A Passage to India. Getting colorful information, getting radical information about British Raj, this novel became the rich one, which made an outstanding contribution in the pages of colonial literature. E.M Forster died in 1970. His name was nominated for 16 times to be a Nobel laureate, but he did not become Nobel laureate at all. But I think that Nobel Prize is not the determiner of a literary figure or determiner of the best literary figure. He might not have the Nobel Prize, but it does not matter. He earned the respect and love and affection of the millions and billions of people all over the world who had been colonized for a long time under the British imperial and French imperial power, colonial power. The thing that is very important that E.M Forster made a lot of contribution to the subalterns people who had been subjugated, who had been persecuted, who had been suffered under the rule of colony. This is the credit of E.M Forster. But I think that the Nobel Prize, the Nobel Committee's Nobel Prize was exactly not awarded to E.M Forster. The main reason is that the Nobel Committee might be controlled during the time by the colonial power. Since E.M Forster started writing or directed his writing against colonial power, the colonial power opposed, particularly Britain and France might oppose so that no, E.M Forster could not get the Nobel Prize. The Nobel Committee was opposed by the colonial power so that E.M Forster could not get the Nobel Prize. But Nobel Prize is not the determinant to be great literary figure. Whatever, whether he has got the Nobel Prize or not, it does not create any sense exactly to make E.M Forster or evaluate E.M Forster as a great literary figure. He earned love and respect of the people all over the world for his humanitarian writings in favor of the colonized people of the world. Since this novel represents to India, has already made an appeal to the people of Asia, Africa, and Latin America, realizing the importance of this fiction. All the public universities of Bangladesh, private universities, as well as national university included this novel in their syllabus. So my lecture, particularly introducing the writer E.M Forster, will be a beneficiary something for the students of all universities, public, private, and national university. I'd like to conclude my speech telling one thing, that COVID-19 has become really a bad horror. COVID-19 is leading us to an uncertain destination. And what will be the destination, we don't know. Only God can save us from this monstrous situation, from this monstrous COVID-19. Last of all, I'd like to express my felicitation and my gratitude to Syed Zafar Ali, the Honorable Principal of our college, that he is always found standing his cooperating hand so that we can continue our program of learning and teaching and to make a bridge between the learners and the teachers in this catastrophic situation. May Allah help us stay safe. May God save us all.